Hello everybody, look how nice it is outside. Today we're going to be talking about my everyday cameras, which is the Fuji X-Pro2 and the Voigtlander Bessa R2A. These are my everyday cameras, the Fujifilm X-Pro2 and the Voigtlander Bessa R2A. I picked up the Bessa in December of 2021 and the Fujifilm X-Pro2 in November of 2020, but since then I've been shooting a lot with both of these cameras, using it daily, and I've gotten some pretty great pictures out of it. I picked up both of these cameras because of their portability and they look amazing. I mean, just look at them. Every time I see it, I just want to pick it up and start shooting. So on both of these cameras, I have a 35mm focal length. The Fujifilm has a crop sensor, which means that the lens is 23mm, but when you apply the crop factor, it's actually 35mm. And I like to shoot 35mm because it's just wide enough to give my images some more context, but it's also great for, everyday things. It's also great for like casual portraiture as well. For an everyday all-rounder lens, the 35mm focal length is perfect for me. So why these cameras? Firstly, I picked up the Fuji X-Pro2 because I just wanted a digital everyday camera. The camera that I had before that is what I'm filming on right now. It's the Canon 70D paired with the Sigma 18-35, and together that is just a huge package, and it was so heavy and big that I just did not want to carry it around. For the longest time, I felt like I was missing out on capturing some of my everyday moments, because I felt like the iPhone didn't capture the environment around me in the way that I wanted. And so I wanted to have a proper camera that would be able to capture those moments. And also, even though I had a portable film camera at the time, I cannot afford to shoot film every day. So I wanted a digital everyday camera, and that's why I opted for the Fuji X-Pro2. The Fujifilm X-Pro2 is my first Fuji camera, so I was really intrigued by the film simulations and all of the Fuji recipes that I found online, and being able to kind of have that option to shoot those everyday moments without having to pay for film and developing and scanning every day. It just felt like a more convenient option. So yeah, it was really exciting. And then later I picked up the Bessa R2A. Honestly, I didn't have much of a great reason to pick this camera up aside from that I wanted to try a rangefinder camera and benefit a little bit from the sharpness that rangefinders get, since the film is so close to the lens. So the reason I would choose one over the other is simply if I want to shoot film or digital. If I'm too lazy to develop my film, or if I want my images right away, I'll shoot digital. Or if it's going to be just a casual day and I won't really expect much, I also opt for digital. And along with that, it's also weatherproof, so if it's raining or snowing, I'll probably use that instead, because my film camera is not weatherproof. Though there are so many benefits to digital, most of the time I'm usually shooting film because I just love the natural colors that come out of it. So let's start with the pros. They both feel amazing in hand. For the X-Pro2, you will need the thumb grip on top to make it feel like it's a little more secure, and I have smaller hands, so the X-Pro2 does feel snug in my hand. But I know if you have bigger hands, you might need an additional grip to feel a little more snug. The aperture dials have such a satisfying click. I think there's just enough resistance on it, and I really like the dials on top, which make for a great physical film experience. The Bessa feels amazing too. My hands sit right on the grip and between the film advance lever, and the focusing tab feels so good when you're focusing. I really love the tactility of the focus. Overall, it just makes the camera so much more fun to use, and I would say definitely more fun to use than the X-Pro2. The aperture grip makes it so easy to rotate, and I really enjoy the aperture priority that the Bessa R2A has, which is really convenient to use when there's some fast-paced situations. Also, I love that there is a lock on the film release button. It just gives me a peace of mind, because sometimes I feel like I put it in my bag and I don't want that film lever to just pop off. I also really like that there's a back door on the Bessa R2A. I know on some Leica camera you have to take off the back door completely, and it's just really easy to load this camera, and that to me is a huge plus. And another benefit is that this camera actually goes up to 2,000th of a second, and most camera goes up to 500th or 1,000th of a second, so it's really convenient to use when I need to shoot wide open. Okay, so moving on to the cons of these cameras. So with the setup that I have here, it's definitely not great for portraits. If you're looking for a blurry background and no distortion at all, these cameras and the lens that I have set up with it aren't an ideal option. Close focusing with rangefinders are not possible, and with the Fuji 23 f2, if you get close up on any subject, the bokeh starts to get a little bit weird and it gets to get really soft and fuzzy, which is why it's not really great for close portraits. The 23 f2 lens, sometimes I wish that it had more bokeh and more light, but that is a trade-off with its portability and its weather resistance. There are definitely better lenses out there for that, like the 23 1.4, or just even a different focal length as well. I choose to stick with this lens because I just love the portability and it still creates great pictures. I played a lot around with Fuji recipes and Fujifilm simulations. Even then, I feel like you can't really capture the film's characteristics pretty realistically, so which is why I gravitate towards shooting film. Okay, let's talk about the Bessa. So I only really have two main gripes with this camera, and it's the fact that on bright sunny days it's really hard to read the meter and it can often get lost in the highlights. And the second con is that you can't see the meter until you advance the film and half press the shutter, which is really annoying because sometimes I'll accidentally take a picture when I'm trying to look for the meter and lose some frames there. I absolutely love both of these cameras. They both have a great feel to it, and they both have the two things that are the most important to me. And number one is that they both look good, and number two, that they are portable. And both of those in combination make me want to pick up and use it, which is super important to anyone when it comes to photography. Just being able to pick up your camera and to practice every single day. And for me, those two cameras does it for me. I'm really happy with the images that I make out of this camera, but of course photography is not always about the gear, but it partially is if it makes you want to pick it up and shoot, which is obviously the most important thing. So yeah, these are my everyday cameras, and if you like this video, please support the channel, and I'll see you next time.